wanted to make a video talking about synesthesia and how I experience synesthesia. I just watched, I'm only through part 1 of Gentle Whispering's 9-part awesome ASMR experience, and she had brought up different things that are similar to ASMR, like frisson, because it's a French word that means shivers or chills, which happens usually during music. Now that I have experienced that a few times, but not until sort of recently, because I find that it happens in really beautiful and very magic moments in music, and that's actually how we refer to them. Like, as a classical musician, I try to give that to people, and sometimes the music that I'm playing, the composer will have written in beautiful moments that basically play themselves. But then there's other music that needs a lot of help from the performer, and it's our movements and our breath and our sound that makes, it gives that feeling to some people, and I have induced it in myself, maybe, not very much. There was one piece I was performing once, and there was one movement of it that I actually thought that I was floating off the ground when I was playing it. It was the second movement of the Lieberman Flute Concerto. You can look that up if you want, it's beautiful. And I often have that feeling sometimes from my friends, like if I play in a chamber group and I'm performing with them, then we can have these moments, and it's just the best feeling in the world. And in watching performances, it doesn't happen as often as when I'm playing, which is, I guess, a little weird. But it does happen usually when I know the person who is playing, and I see what they're doing. Like, if I know them and I see what they're doing, I know if they're being honest or not, because sometimes people try and force these feelings, and like, sometimes you can tell if they're not truly there, if they're just acting, or if they are. That being said, I also get that feeling from acting and performances. But that's not what this video is about. I wanted to talk about synesthesia. So, I decided to use my sketchbook and my markers. These are very silly. They're really huge. They're like the kitty markers. I do have a box of normal size markers, but I really like these ones. And this is a really nice moleskin sketchbook that I got for my birthday a few years ago. I don't think there's anything worth showing you in here. It's all really bad. Let me see if I can see a good one. Oh, here are some fish that I drew when I was sick with the swine flu 2 or 3 years ago. I forget when that was. H1N1. I had to stay at home taking Tamiflu and drawing fish, apparently. Oh yeah, there's more fish too. There's a whale. I really like this. It was so much fun to paint this. And then a bass. Silly. A lot of the drawings in this aren't even mine. These are terrible, terrible paintings. I was just trying out paint. Wow. Not much good in here. I like this little one. It's not the greatest, but a sailboat and a sunset, and the sun is an orange, or a lemon, or whatever citrus fruit. So I tend to draw a lot of things that are similar to this. It's one of my favorite sort of doodles. Sunsets and sailboats. Oh, okay, that's all. Sometimes I take the paper out of this book to make cards for people, which which I obviously don't have anymore because I've given them away. There's paper clips in here. What a nice surprise. I didn't know those were in there. Now I know where they are. Okay, so I want to start with the alphabet. Now, I can never draw it the same way that I see it, but I'll try and approximate what the alphabet is to me. This is going to be a little bit weird and abstract to some people. So, with synesthesia, it's very common, and this is actually very common in most people. Maybe not most people, but a lot of people have this, where you associate letters of the alphabet with colors. And for me, it's colors and personalities for the letters of the alphabet. So I'm upside down right now, but then I'll turn it around and show you. So A, for me, is red, sometimes a darker red. B is a light, maybe it would be like either a light green or light yellow. So I'm going to just do a little light, thin B. I think it's a bit more yellow, so I'm going to just draw that on top. And get my marker all gross. Now C, I need to clean it up, is yellow, if not brown. But not nearly as brown or as orange. Just draw little dots in it. Is D. D can also be soft in a lighter color as well. Now, the strongest letter of the alphabet we've arrived to already. That is E. A, B, C, D, E. Yes, okay, good. I'm not making a mistake. Is blue. And I hear that this is actually very common for most people with synesthesia, that some letters are stronger than others. Like, these letters, they're not, like, they can be a few different things, but there's sort of this feeling, you know, this sort of warm color, and this is a pale color. This is a very warm, hot. A is pretty red, but E is a deep, rich blue all the time. It doesn't change. That's what it is. Now F is either orange or green, something like that. Oh, sorry. I think F is a good color for that. Or orange. I make mistakes like that a lot, like pretty often. Ugh. You have G. This might be obvious to you, but G is green. Most definitely green. And G reminds me of my little brother because his name is Gregory. And his name starts with G. And he is green. His whole name is green. Yeah, G, H is brown. I is black. J is actually bluey purple. So I have a little bit of purple. To that, and some dots. K, that's my name. Starts with a K, and it is a purpley red. So a rather kind of dark red. Like that. L is blacky blue, so very dark blue. M is bluey green. See, some of them I hesitate because I have to think about it. They're not as strong as the others. N is another browny yellow. O is white, so I can't really draw. I'll do it with a pencil. I guess see how these are kind of obvious, like O is open and has a big white circle in it. And it has that O, it's the sound of it, it's just pale. P is similar to A and K, but a little bit, probably more. You know, I take that back. I think P is more green. Let's mix them together and see what happens. Yeah, I think P is like a dark green. Q is yellow. R is red, like A. Now, it's actually kind of funny that these two letters, A and R, I don't get them mixed up when I'm spelling or speaking, but what really happens is, you know, there are a lot of words that start with A and R. If I'm trying to like think of a word, you know, it's not on the tip of your tongue and you just sort of need to remember it, I can't distinguish whether it starts with A or R. And this was a problem for me when I was doing tests or exams, and I had to remember terms, either like history or music terms. There were a lot that start with A and that start with R, and they're the most common letters that start words like with terms, and so I would always kind of get stuck and not be able to think. You know, usually if you're stuck on a word and you know what letter it starts with, you're like, oh, it's right on the tip of my tongue. Well, I get stuck between A and R. They mix me up. And same with people's names. If I need to remember someone's name, like, I think their name starts with R, but it turns out their name starts with A. Those ones get me. They're exactly the same, and they look similar too. That's probably why. S is yellow. T is blue. U is gray, and I don't have gray, so I use a pencil again. Now V is the tricky one. It's either black or yellow, and that's really kind of hard to write. Do it in black just for now. W is like purple and blue mixed together. X is black. VWX. Y is yellow because of the color yellow. Y. Sometimes it's a darker yellow than some of the other letters, so I'm going to add the orange to it. And Z, or Z, is black, sometimes blue. Now, there is sort of a trend with what the shape of the letters and the colors. I never ever noticed that until right now. So I've never done this. I've never tried to draw them out. Very interesting. That's weird. So this is how I see the alphabet. Generally, not exactly. It's very... The only one that I'm... You know, some of them I'm 100% like A, R, K, E, O, I, G, D, and N. Those are the ones I feel really sure about. Same with S and Q. The rest of them, sometimes they change. I'm not too sure how I feel about them. Sounds really funny to talk about. Okay, now, before this video gets way too long, those are my letters, and so I'm often pretty good at, or I'm either really good or really bad at remembering things. This can really help when it comes to memory, and it can really screw me up, like the A words and R words. For names, and names of my family. Sometimes a whole name, there are many different letters, but they usually have a color to them. So my oldest brother's name is Peter, and that is blue to me because there's all these R's, or sorry, there's an E and T are all in the middle. And the P in that case is more green, and the R at the end, I just kind of forget about that. My younger brother is Gregory. So his name is very green, like the O and the I for some reason. I don't know if I need to explain myself, but the O fills itself with the green and yellow. My name is half red and half blue because my name is Catherine. Kath at the beginning is red, and Erin is blue because of the E's, and the I is not very colorful. I often will play a game with my friends or with my boyfriend they just tell me a word or something, and I tell them what color it is. Sometimes it's easy and sometimes it's not. So it's not super strong all the time. It is in music. When I play Guitar Hero, or I used to play Guitar Hero with my roommate, and you know how there's the different colors, I don't even remember what they are anymore, but I would often just think they were the notes. I'm like, the E, the G, the A, because there's almost every one of every letter. Yeah, it's funny. So anyhow, I have this feeling towards numbers as well. It's not as strong. There's more of a feeling towards numbers. And in music, with musical intervals, it's things that to me they just feel so obvious, but I know that it might not be for everybody. That different musical intervals have like a certain, like almost a smell or a taste or a flavor. I think flavor is a good word. I was once tested by a friend of mine who was reading This Is Your Brain on Music, and there was a chapter about synesthesia, and she's like, I want to test you and see if you get these right, because there's sort of a general what people with synesthesia feel the same things. So she would ask me each interval, from the lowest to the biggest, like just within an octave. An interval is just the space between notes, so either it's like two keys beside each other on the piano, or like spaced apart, or slowly, getting further and further apart. And I almost got every single one correct. I mean, to me, it just seems so obvious, and it probably does to a lot of people, that like a minor second would be sour. My favorite was, or a major third is very sweet. A perfect fourth, to me, I was just like, it tastes like trees, which doesn't really make sense, but it sounds like trees to me. It's an open fourth. It's like associated with like the French horns who play in fourths. When you go hunting, it's kind of like a hunting foresty feeling to it. So I mean, there's reason. I don't think synesthesia comes out of nowhere. I think it's affected, like, I always see the months of the year in the same order and in the same colors, because of how they may have been laid out on my wall, or on my classroom wall when I was a kid. And I think, yeah, it was in grade 2 or grade 3 we had them all laid out, and that's still how I see the year in my head. Yeah, it's not a super interesting thing, I guess, to talk about, but I think it's something different that I forget that I have, and I remember, I'm like, oh yeah, I am special in some little way. I can associate things really well. It's fun. And if you do, you should tell me about what it's like for you. I associate really well with smells, and whenever I smell something, I get a lot of deja vu. a lot and often, and I dream a lot and often. I'm sure these things are all connected. Well, I hope you thought that was mildly interesting, and I hope that you like my colorful alphabet, and that maybe you have your own and you can show me. Thank you so much for watching.